Right, well, we've got some breaking news for you now, and it comes from Aston Villa, and it looks like a new left-back could be joining on. Anton, let's get straight to you.
Yeah, Aston Villa may well be signing a new left-back. Alex Moreno is the name. A fee of around £12.5 million has been agreed with Real Betis. Now, the left-back is due to fly to Birmingham tomorrow to have a medical and sort out personal terms. We know he's already been left out of the Real Betis squad going out to Saudi Arabia for the Super Cup. So it looks like Moreno will be an Aston Villa player soon.
Well, we'll keep you all updated with any other news that we do get with this. Dave, sticking on this one, Moreno, left-back, Aston Villa, is he the player that they need?
Given there's already two senior left-backs in the squad, maybe not. Has this move been brought forward because of Augustinson's injury that he picked up against Stevenage? Maybe. You would have thought, anyway, Aston Villa fans, that a forward/winger would be the more pressing need, given they've lost Bertrand Traoré, Anwar El Ghazi, Trezeguet. Essentially, all of the natural wide players were moved on, apart from Leon Bailey, in the summer. So it's interesting. I mean, tactically, you think that Unai Emery wants something a little bit different from his left-back. Someone like Luca Dean is maybe quite cross-heavy.
We've got the comparison, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, we've tried to find out the difference between the two, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because you look at the chances created and the number of crosses that Luca Dean puts in. You know, that's like the last 12 months. That's since Luca Dean joined, compared to Moreno, and they're two very different types of fullback. You'd say Moreno is a much more kind of, you know, what you'd expect as a more old-fashioned fullback, I suppose. Defense first, yeah, that kind of, and then. But whereas Luca Dean is known for bombing forward, and does that indicate a change of style, Dave?
I'm not sure. I mean, the one that stands out for me there is the dribbles completed. Moreno, much higher than Luca Dean. From what we've seen so far, in build-up, it feels like Aston Villa are playing the left-back higher up, Augustinson, Luca Dean. Now, whether the end product has been there from Luca Dean, or whether he's carrying out exactly what the new head coach would like to see, is maybe another question. Maybe he wants his left-back to be more comfortable on the ball and taking the ball forward, taking on defenders, looking at cutbacks, rather than a kind of stand and deliver left back, which is perhaps what Luca Dean was. And remember, Luca Dean was signed for the style of play of Steven Gerrard, which was lots of crosses into the box. Moreno is a different kind of player. I think there was a clear strategy when Villa got promoted. They were looking at younger players with a sell-on value. That seems to have slightly flipped now. We can just have a look at some of the more recent signings of Aston Villa from the summer transfer window as well. Now, Moreno's 29 years old. The star is because he's yet to sign. But Diego Carlos, when he signed, he was 29 years old, given a 4-year contract. Coutinho, 29 when he signed, and was given a 4-year contract. Dendoncker, 27. Boubacar Kamara, we don't need to talk about. He's incredible. We don't need to move on. Carlos is kind of a write-off, because we haven't really seen too much of him because of that awful injury that he had, hoping that he comes back the same player, really. So, interesting that Villa are kind of looking at a win-now approach with these players. Yeah, you have to back the manager. You've brought in one of the top European coaches. You have to back him. If he wants to go out and sign a left-back and alter the style of play that he wants, you have to do it. I think the other side, the flip side of that is, looking ahead 3 years' time, if Unai Emery moves on, are Villa left with a boatload of 30-year-olds on big money? That's the flip side.
You can follow up, though, and say that Unai Emery's had some time now at the club. He's identified clearly an area that he sees that they need to strengthen. Absolutely,
yeah, and you have to back him. That's why they brought him in. They brought him in to be moving up the table, to be challenging for Europe, not where they've been in the Premier League table. And you look at the record that Unai Emery has had, he's not really a manager that is going to fail. It feels like he's a sure thing. You can always talk about the Arsenal situation, but that was always going to be difficult after Arsene Wenger. But they brought him in to move up the Premier League table, so you have to back him.
Look at the fullbacks he had at Villarreal. They're two very different. Estupinian on the left, he's obviously playing fantastically at Brighton, and then Juan Foyth, who moulded into a right back, but is somewhat more defensive. So he doesn't mind working with different types of players to mould them into what he wants. Whereas Moreno, he's got a plug and play, who I presume is going to come in and go, right, this is actually how I want my players to be. And we're going to probably see that in 2 or 3 positions over the next few months.
And certainly since coming back from the World Cup, we've seen Ashley Young almost take on the Juan Foyth role. He's not been bombing on down the right-hand side. He's been sitting in alongside the two centre-backs. Mings has been pulling out to the left and Lucas Digne's been higher up the field. So is that going to be the way he wants to go?
Olivia, looking at the rest of the squad and different areas as well within the team, do you think there's anywhere else they need to strengthen?
Well, Dave mentioned perhaps a winger and a forward. Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins, I think, got 7 Premier League goals combined, which you'd probably say you would be expecting more from those two as forwards, but also the sort of players around them, and Leon Bailey, Emi Buendia, Philippe Coutinho, just haven't necessarily lived up to the expectation. The expectation that was sort of when they came to the club, everyone thought they were going to be. So I think that's probably the position that Villa will or could maybe strengthen in as well. But obviously, after that disappointing defeat in the FA Cup, they haven't really. For Villa, it's almost just about now Unai Emery maybe just having time with his squad and working out what works, what doesn't, and just seeing how far they can finish up the table.
Right, well, let's just go over that breaking news once again. Aston Villa have agreed a fee with Real Betis, believed to be around £12.5 million for defender Alex Moreno. The left-back is due to fly to Birmingham tomorrow to undergo a medical and discuss personal terms